Hi, family. This is day 3 of our Bible Reading in a Year series. Today we're covering Genesis chapters 11 through 14. This is the calling of Abraham and the first few stories associated with him before the covenant that he makes with God. So tune in and let's get going.
And all the earth had one language and one tongue. And it came about that in their wandering from the east they came to a stretch of flat country in the land of Shinar, and there they made their living place. And they said to one another, Come, let us make bricks, burning them well. And they had bricks for stone, putting them together with sticky earth. And they said, Come, let us make a town, and a tower whose top will go up as high as heaven, and let us make a great name for ourselves, so that we may not be wanderers over the face of the earth. And the Lord came down to see the town and the tower which the children of men were building. And the Lord said, See, they are all one people and have all one language, and this is only the start of what they may do. And now it will not be possible to keep them from any purpose of theirs. Come, let us go down and take away the sense of their language, so that they will not be able to make themselves clear to one another. So the Lord God sent them away into every part of the earth, and they gave up building their town. So it was named Babel, because there the Lord took away the sense of all languages, and from there the Lord sent them away over all the face of the earth. These are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old when he became the father of Arpachshad, 2 years after the great flow of waters. And after the birth of Arpachshad, Shem went on living for 500 years, and had sons and daughters. And Arpachshad was 35 years old when he became the father of Shelah. And after the birth of Shelah, Arpachshad went on living for 403 years, and had sons and daughters. And Shelah was 30 years old when he became the father of Eber. And after the birth of Eber, Shelah went on living for 403 years, and had sons and daughters. And Eber was 34 years when he became the father of Peleg. And after the birth of Peleg, Eber went on living for 430 years, and had sons and daughters. And Peleg was 30 years old when he became the father of Reu. And after the birth of Reu, Peleg went on living for 209 years, and had sons and daughters. And Reu was 32 years old when he became the father of Serug. And after the birth of Serug, Reu went on living for 207 years, and had sons and daughters. And Serug was 30 years old when he became the father of Nahor. And after the birth of Nahor, Serug went on living for 200 years, and had sons and daughters. And Nahor was 29 years old when he became the father of Terah. And after the birth of Terah, Nahor went on living for 119 years, and had sons and daughters. And Terah was 70 years old when he became the father of Avram, Nahor, and Haran. These are the generations of Terah. Terah was the father of Avram, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran was the father of Lot. And death came to Haran when he was with his father Terah in the land of his birth, Ur of the Chaldeans. And Avram and Nahor took wives for themselves. The name of Avram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah and Iscah. And Sarai had no child. And Terah took Abram his son, and Lot the son of Haran, and Sarai his daughter-in-law, the wife of his son Avram, and they went out from Ur of the Chaldeans to go to the land of Canaan. And they came to Haran, and were there for some time. And all the years of Terah's life were 205, and Terah came to his end in Haran. Now the Lord said to Avram, Go out from your country, and from your family, and from your father's house, into the land to which I will be your guide. And I will make of you a great nation, blessing you and making your name great. And you will be a blessing. To them who are good to you I will give blessing, and on him who does you wrong I will put my curse. And you will become a name of blessing to all the families of the earth. So Avram went as the Lord had said to him, and Lot went with him. Avram was 75 years old when he went away from Haran. And Avram took Sarai his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their goods, and the servants which they had got in Haran, and they went out to go to the land of Canaan. And Avram went through all the land till he came to Shechem, to the holy tree of Moreh. At the time the Canaanites were still living in the land. And the Lord came to see Avram, and said, I will give all this land to your seed. Then Avram made an altar there to the Lord, who had let himself be seen by him. And moving on from there to the mountain on the east of Bethel, he put up his tent, having Bethel on the west, and Ai on the east. And there he made an altar, and gave worship to the name of the Lord. And he went on, journeying still to the south. And because there was little food to be had in that land, he went down into Egypt. Now when he came near to Egypt, he said to Sarai his wife, Truly you are a fair woman, and beautiful to the eye. I am certain that when the men of Egypt see you, they will say, This is his wife, and they will put me to death, and keep you. Say, then, that you are my sister, and so it will be well with me because of you, and my life will be kept safe on your account. And so it was that when Abram came into Egypt, the men of Egypt, looking on the woman, saw that she was fair. And Pharaoh's great men, having seen her, said words in praise of her to Pharaoh, and she was taken into Pharaoh's house. And because of her he was good to Avram, and he had sheep and oxen and donkeys, and men servants and women servants and camels. And the Lord sent great troubles on Pharaoh's house because of Sarai, Avram's wife. Then Pharaoh sent for Avram and said, What have you done to me? Why did you not say that she was your wife? Why did you say that she was your sister, so that I took her for my wife? Now take your wife and go on your way. And Pharaoh gave orders to his men, and they sent him on his way with his wife and all he had. And Avram went up out of Egypt with his wife and all he had, and Lot with him, and they came into the south. Now Avram had great wealth of cattle and silver and gold, and traveling on from the south he came to Bethel, to the place where his tent had been before, between Bethel and Ai, to the place where he had made his first altar. And there Avram gave worship to the name of the Lord, and Lot, who went with him, had flocks and herds and tents, so that the land was not wide enough for the two of them. Their property was so great that there was not room for them together. And there was an argument between the keepers of Avram's cattle and the keepers of Lot's cattle. And at the time the Canaanites and Perizzites were still living in the land. Then Avram said to Lot, Let there be no argument between me and you, and between my herdsmen and your herdsmen, for we are brothers. Is not all the land before you? Then let us go our separate ways. If you go to the left, I will go to the right. Or if you take up the right, I will go to the left. And Lot, lifting up his eyes and looking at the valley of Jordan, saw that it was well watered everywhere, before the Lord had sent destruction on Sodom and Amorah. It was like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt on the way to Zoar. So Lot took for himself all the valley of Jordan, and went to the east, and they were parted from one another. Avram went on living in the land of Canaan, and Lot went to the lowland towns, moving his tent as far as Sodom. Now the men of Sodom were evil and great sinners before the Lord. And the Lord had said to Avram after Lot was parted from him, From this place where you are to take a look to the north, and to the south, and to the east, and to the west. For all the land which you see I will give to you and to your seed forever, and I will make your children like the dust of the earth, so that if the dust of the earth may be numbered, then will your children be numbered. Come, go through all the land from one end to the other, for I will give it to you. And Avram, moving his tent, came and made his living place by the holy tree of Mamre, which is in Hebron, and made an altar there to the Lord. Now in the days of Amraphel, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Elasar, Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of Goim, they made war with Berah, king of Sodom, and with Birsha, king of Amorah, Shinab, king of Admah, and Shemabir, king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, which is Zoar. All these came together at the valley of Siddim, where is the salt sea. For 12 years they were under the rule of Chedorlaomer, but in the 13th year they put off his control. And in the 14th year Chedorlaomer and his kings who were on his side overcame the Raphaim in Ashtaroth Karnaim, and the Zuzim in Ham, and the Emim in Shaveh Kiriataim, and the Horites in their mountain Seir, driving them as far as El Paran, which is near the wasteland. Then they came back to En Mishpat, which is Kadesh, making waste all the country of the Amalekites and of the Amorites living in Hazazon Tamar. And the king of Sodom with the king of Amorah, and the king of Admah, and the king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, that is Zoar, went out and put their forces in position in the valley of Siddim, against Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of Goim, and Amraphel, king of Shinar, and Arioch, king of Elasar, 4 kings against 5. Now the valley of Siddim was full of holes and sticky earth, and the kings of Sodom and Amorah were put to flight, and came to their end there, but the rest got away to the mountain. And the 4 kings took all the goods and food from Sodom and Amorah, and went on their way. And in addition they took Lot, Avram's brother's son, who was living in Sodom, and all his goods. And one who had got away from the fight came and gave word of it to Avram the Hebrew, who was living by the holy tree of Mamre, the Amorite, the brother of Eshcol and Aner, who were friends with Avram. And Avram, hearing that his brother's son had been made a prisoner, took a band of his trained men, 318 of them, sons of his house, and went after them as far as Dan. And separating his forces by night, he overcame them, putting them to flight, and going on after them as far as Hobah, which is on the north side of Damascus. And he got back all of the goods, and Lot his brother's son, with his goods and the women and people. And when he was coming back after putting to flight Chedor Laomer and the other kings, he had a meeting with the king of Sodom in the valley of Shaveh, that is, the king's valley. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, the priest of the Most High God, took bread and wine, and blessing him, said, May the blessings of the Most High God, maker of heaven and earth, be on Avram, and let the Most High God be praised, who has given into your hands those who were against you. Then Avram gave him a tenth of all the goods he had taken, and the king of Sodom said to Avram, Give me the prisoners, and take the goods for yourself. But Avram said to the king of Sodom, I have taken an oath to the Lord, the Most High God, maker of heaven and earth, that I will not take so much as a thread or the cord of a shoe of yours, so that you may not say, I have given wealth to Avram. Give me nothing but the food which the fighting men who went with me have had, but let Aner and Eshcol and Mamre have their part of the goods.
So the Tower of Babel is the last of the preface narratives that before the calling of Abraham and before Israel's story specifically is started. And it's a great story. But when we get to Abraham, or Avram at this point, God is choosing Avram to work with. And the little note about the election here is that God's not choosing Abraham so that Abraham has a good time or is saved on his own. No, he's choosing Avram because he wants to work with Avram for the blessing of all the rest of the nations. So keep that in mind when you think about the idea of what it means to be elected or chosen by God. Is it for yourself, or is it so that you can work with God to help others? Have a wonderful day.